Folks, welcome into the Major League Baseball show right here on sportsbookreview.com. It is August 18th, 2020, Tuesday, an action-packed Tuesday with a lot going on in the Diamond. As you guys know, give us 30 to 35 minutes. We'll give you the world. We will cover it all. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. I got to say, went to the well last night. San Francisco Giants and my boy Gabe Kapler pushed me over the top. A very eventful game, but I got to say, it was nice to see a comeback in that game as well to get those runs. Jason, how about it?
Yeah, look, we were both right on that game. We said, you said the other team goes over. I said one team goes over, and both teams went over. The game went over. Lots of fun. Great game. Profitable day for me in baseball, so can't complain.
No, it was great. And again, we got a lot of good things going here on the channels. Obviously, you guys have been checking out the National Basketball League show, soccer in the morning, Major League Baseball in the afternoon. Everything you need to make you a smarter, better right here at sportsbookreview.com. If you guys haven't done so yet, there's a link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB for all your needs. Jason's videos, a lot of good writers, a lot of content. And of course, this show on replay right there. 57 people already watching the show. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Turn that notification bell on every time Jason and I go live on the Major League Baseball show. You'll get it delivered to your inbox. A lot of people already in here. Alex, Jose, Abel, Cornelius, Chaz, Gabriel, Rob. It's all up to us to get that chat box some money and have some fun. So keep the comments coming. We do enjoy it. Big card here. Why don't we get started, Jason? Let's get it after it. 9:01, 9:02, Colorado and Houston. This game starts at 3:10 Eastern out in Houston. The Dome will be closed for this game, about a 50-50 ticket split. If we take a look at the odds, opened up offshore, Jason, at SPR odds at -180. That now sits at -190. Even Chris is showing a -200. The over-under opened up at 9, now sits at 8.5. About 25 minutes before doing the show, making some final predictions here. I actually was going with the under 9 in this game, and I'm just looking at the Houston Astros overall, winning, but winning dirty, 3-2, 2-0, 2-1 games. I'm going to keep it the same. I look for two pitchers to have a strong outing in this one, the Houston bullpen to put this game away. I think Houston obviously wins the game, but I'm going to lean more on that under 9 that now sits at 8.5. How about you on this one?
Yeah, Antonio Senzatella has not been a great pitcher for in his career. He's been good this season so far, of course. He's a high ground ball rate, low hard contact rate, but pretty low strikeout rate and can tend to walk batters. Also, he's allowed 24 hits in 23 innings, 18 strikeouts, 5 walks, 10 earned runs, getting a lot more ground balls this year than he usually gets. But righties are hitting .295 against Senzatella this season. The Astros, I would assume, have a right-handed heavy lineup going to this game. So you're looking at potentially, I know the Astros, their offense has not been nearly as good as we're used to, expecting and seeing. But Senzatella, a guy, not a great pitcher throughout his career, does struggle versus righties. I do think the Astros have an edge in this one. Go with Greinke on the mound. On their end, we don't really need to talk about Greinke. We know how great of a pitcher he's been throughout his entire career. So I guess if I had to make a choice on this game, the line is a little too high for me for the Astros. So I look at the Astros team total over at probably around 5. I wouldn't go 5.5. I'd go 5 if you can get that. But yeah, there's other games that are probably more exciting and probably more profitable at the end of the day.
It's interesting, Jason, because we're handicappers and we like to take a look at a lot of different scenarios. When you just take a look at some lineups, you say to yourself, eventually they have to start hitting because this Houston Astros lineup, outside the cheating allegations, you look 1 through 9, it's star after star after star. And it's just odd to me because, again, we're talking about teams rolling through. It's not like you're facing Scherzer, Corbin, and Strasburg back to back to back. It was that Seattle Mariners lineup over the weekend, that pitching staff and bullpen that held them down. And even again last night, is there one of those things where you say, you know what, I know what the numbers are. They're struggling specifically, 5 through 9 in the lineup today. The weighted on base averages are extremely low. Do you look at maybe a point saying eventually they have to start hitting and this might be the day to do it?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. I'm looking at, what Senzatella has done against righties this season, what he's done against righties last season. Yeah, he's not been great. And again, we do have an Astros lineup of stars, like you had already said. So potentially the Astros figure it out offensively, score a good 5-6 runs in this game. That's all you need when you're looking at the Astros team total of over 5. Just need 6 runs. I think they can get that versus Senzatella. He's done a lot better this season. But again, if you look at his entire work, not so great.
No, I hear you there. Harold Greer, Donnie and Jason, man, your plays yesterday were on point. It did well. Thanks, guys. Well, we thank you for tuning in out there. Philly Sports Passion 85. Hello, Donnie and Jason and Sabino Anguiano. It's harder to hit a baseball when you don't know what pitch is coming. Don't tell the Astros that. They'll tell you the opposite, that it's harder when you know a fastball is coming than as opposed to a curveball out here. So, interesting game, but the Dome will be closed in that one. We'll keep going. 9:03, 9:04. Another afternoon outing here. 4:05 Eastern time first pitch. San Diego and Texas. Murajan, the lefty, is on the mound. I didn't have that earlier today, but I guess it's updated there now. Minor, the lefty, also on the mound for Texas. 6 out of every 10 tickets coming in on the Rangers. 9s across the board. I was taking a look at this game, just factoring in how hot those bats for the San Diego Padres have been, and you should be able to get base hits. But now with that pitching matchup, I'm going to abstain from this game. If I'm just looking at it blindly, why not go with the goose here? And that San Diego continues to put themselves in positions, even if, look, here's what you have to appreciate if you're San Diego here, Jason, right? If they know you need an over or a team total to hit, they will blow right through stop signs and they will blow right through take signs in order to hit grand slams. You got to respect that as a total better here for sure.
Yeah, of course. I know a lot of you guys saw what Tatis did last night, hit a grand slam on a 3-0 count with a big lead already intact. So I'm not really sure I agree with that unwritten rule. We've seen, especially with the Phillies and Mets bullpens, that any lead isn't safe. So therefore, I can't really disagree with Tatis, a young star, having some fun and padding his stats, like we have bets on these things. So we appreciate that. So we can't be mad at Tatis for doing that. But yeah, this game, Adrian Morejon getting the start, a guy that, I don't really know too much about him, played last season, just had 5 games, 2 starts, 8 innings pitched, had a high strikeout numbers with 10.13 per 9 innings. Also had a 10.13 ERA through those 8 innings with 3.71 FIP. So with Morejon, really hard to know what exactly we're going to get out of him. Had a 0.385 OBA last season. So again, really don't know what to expect out of him. Minor, been a little bit unlucky this season. The Rangers are 1-3 with Minor on the mound, but at home has a 121 batting average this season. Does have a high Sierra, but he really is average in most other departments. He went 4 innings in his last start, allowed just 1 hit, no runs versus the Mariners. The Mariners are an on and off baseball team with their offense. Of course, you saw them last night just destroying the Dodgers, but then you also see the Mariners just not performing at all sometimes. But I'll stick with Minor here. Rangers at plus 112. I think the Rangers come into this game a little upset, a little mad, a little pissed. That could be bad and that could be good. Either way you look at it, they could come in trying to slug and trying to hit these home runs, strike out on 3 pitches, or they come in there and slug and hit home runs on the first pitch. I don't know what to expect, but if I were to expect 60% of the time, I'd say probably the Rangers win.
168 people watching live now. We do thank you for that. And some of the guys in the chat box checking in. Leroy Flood did hit his Washington first 5 money line. That's a nice wager from yesterday because if you took it full game, it would have been a loss. So sharpness by you. Eric Chang says from yesterday's game, no lead is safe. And he says unwritten rules are dumb. I agree. Unwritten rules are dumb, but there's not an unwritten rule if you blow off your manager. That's in the written rule. So a little bit different here. No, I don't think anybody cares that Tatis actually hit the grand slam overall anyway possible because A, it didn't affect your bets. It was already over. The Padres were going to win money line or whatever way it was. So it wasn't that bad of an actual thing. Rob Cook says, went up big. Don't swing 3-0. So everybody checking in the chat box. This is what we're here for. I love to hear from the chat box. Right, wrong, indifferent, or whatever it is. 907, 908, Oakland and Arizona out playing in Arizona today. Montas and Weaver, 7 out of every 10 tickets here, Jason, coming in on Montas and the Oakland Athletics. However, we opened up at Pinnacle Offshore at SBRodds.com at 161. Now we sit at 146, so getting a little bit lower. Chris at 155 dimes offshore, minus 145, and 9s that are across the board. The one drawback of this game, and I always like the added bonus there, Jason, out in Arizona, when they have night games or they start a little bit earlier, typically after the 3rd inning, they will open the roof. In the afternoon, they don't open it at all. It'll be interesting to see, since this is a 6 o'clock start, but 6 o'clock on the East Coast, meaning 3 o'clock out west, I would presume. Maybe it gets open later in the game, but I'm not sure. But I still like the Oakland Athletics in this game. I think they can hit. I think they can get to Weaver, and I think Montas can hold down that lineup. I'm looking forward to a team total over here for the Oakland Athletics. How about you on this one?
Yeah, I'm going straight with the money line. I see it this morning goes to minus 145, and I'm like, all right, well, that's a little weird. Luke Weaver, 11.85 ERA in 4 games, 8.99 FIP in 4 games. He's been awful, allowing 46.1% of hard contact. Doesn't get many ground balls either. 22 hits on the season. 12 of them have been extra base hits. So we're talking 12 extra base hits on 22 hits, 10 singles, and then 12 extra base hits in those 4 games against Weaver. He's allowed 4 or more runs in 3 of his 4 starts this season. The other start, he allowed 2 runs. Okay, and you look on the other hand, you got Montez, guy with an extremely low ERA in the games he started from last season and this season. He's got a high ground ball rate, very low hard contact rate, doesn't walk too many batters either. So you put this matchup together, Montez has been incredible. Weaver's been brutal. The Athletics have a solid offense. The Diamondbacks have a solid offense too, but not against Montez, who has a 2.46 FIP. Montez also has a .175 OBA on the season and a .160 OBA on the road. In his last 2 games, 14 innings pitched, 2 starts, allowed just 6 hits, 1 earned run, 14 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Also got more ground balls in those 2 starts. I don't understand what with this line. I'm all in on the Athletics.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because when you take a look at it, Montas, FIP or XFIP is a little bit high, but he does some things well, specifically striking batters out. And I like to take a look at power. Like, how are you doing as a pitcher versus the other team? Are you allowing doubles, triples, home runs? And when you take a look, there's going to be 6 left-handed batters in the lineup today, Jason, for the Diamondbacks. But Frankie Montas going up against left-handed batters, an ISO of .047 and an exit velocity average of only 83 miles an hour. So not a lot of home runs, not a lot of doubles in the gap. And it's hard. If you're going to strike out batters at a 25% clip and not give up extra base hits, that usually bodes well here. And I like the Oakland Athletics lineup. I think they'll be able to continue. I do agree Oakland should win this game, and I'm also looking towards that team total as well. Heading to the Bronx, 9-11, 9-12. Tampa Bay, Snell, the lefty, is going to be on the mound today versus Masahiro Tanaka. 7 out of every 10 tickets coming in on the Bronx Bombers. They open up at 121 offshore Pinnacle. That's completely flipped now. Pinnacle showing a -120 to Tampa Bay, a -126 at Chris, and a -121 at 5 Dimes, all favoring the Rays here. Over under opened up at 8.5. It's staying at 8.5. But when you look at this game, and there was some 9s out there early, so that's dipping down. I do agree with it. I think Snell can keep these bats down, even though you look every night, it says, boy, the Yankees are putting up runs after runs after runs. Eventually you're going to run into a pretty good pitcher, even though it's a hitter's ballpark. I think this game stays under. The 9s were up early. The 8.5s were up there. It's hard to stay under that 8.5 number, but I'm still going to lean that way. I think Snell has a pretty good day against this Yankees lineup that's injured, and I think you might be able to squeeze out some runs for Tampa Bay. Close call in this one, but I'll lean under on this one.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. We've already had this pitching matchup before earlier in the season where the Rays won, I think, 1-0 in a pitcher's duel. But the problem with me with Snell is he's only gone 5 innings at most this season. Doesn't go deep in these games, not being able to stretch out yet, go deeper in these games. Tanaka will go deeper in this start compared to Snell. I like both these pitchers. I think Tanaka, he's done a great job versus the Rays in his career. Snell done a decent job versus the Yankees in his career as well. But if we're talking about the Yankees at home as underdogs, that's a little off to me. I would look at the Yankees as slight underdogs at home. When do you get that? When do you see that? And even with the line, even with a lot of the lineup being out of the being injured and out, the Yankees still have enough power, enough hitting to do damage. I look at the Yankees in a close game here at +115 and say, well, there's a lot of value there as the home underdog. So I go with the Yankees.
Yeah, really rare to see them as an underdog. And you're right, specifically at home. And it's not like they're going with like a bullpen game. Like you have a legitimate starter on the mound. Now, albeit going against one of the elite pitchers in baseball. But you're right. We've seen it time and time again. It almost doesn't matter. You pencil the Yankees in for their team total every game. And it seems like the other side just has to try to play catch up. We'll see what takes place today in the Bronx. We'll move it up to Boston and keep it in the NL East and the AL East. The Philadelphia Phillies, after a day off, will take on the Boston Red Sox. Eflin versus Godley on the mound. And there's no surprise. Look, the total in this game is at 11 across the board. The Phillies are a favorite here, and a decided one. Opens up offshore at SBRodds.com at Pinnacle at -115. Now sits at 135s across the board. Even some outlets here in New Jersey at -140. It's always tough for me. I usually take a step back because I like to take team totals when I see an advantage, and I think the Phillies have an advantage here. But when I see the 5.5, I sort of draw back and wish I could find that 5, or if it's out there, to go ahead and take that. I do think the Philadelphia Phillies will be able to score runs on Boston because everybody scores runs on Boston, and in chunks and hits home runs, and the wind is blowing out. It's 80 degrees at Fenway today. They should get that number. I'm just a little bit leery of actually taking the Phillies here on the money line with Eflin. He's been really good to start the year, but we've seen it before. These young pitchers have a couple good starts and then immediately fade back, and we'll see if it takes place in Boston. I like the Phillies a little bit in this game, but I do like the Phillies team total of over 5.5. I think they can get to 6, but if you can find a 5, that's going to be a boon for you. How about you, Jason, in this game here?
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think Eflin's the better pitcher. However, if you look at Godley, his stats versus the Phillies in his career are pretty good. Kind of confusing, that's not something I look at when I'm trying to pick a game. I'm just throwing it out there that Godley has performed well against the Phillies in the past. But again, it's a different lineup now, right? There's a bunch of different guys in that Phillies lineup compared to when Godley probably pitched against them last. Like you said, Eflin, he gets a solid amount of ground balls, low hard contact. He does have a high Sierra, but he's average in most categories. He had 4 earned runs on 7 hits to the Orioles in his last start with 2 home runs. But the Orioles are a good offensive team. I think it's time to really pinpoint the Orioles as a good offensive team, and maybe Eflin didn't pitch as poorly. I mean, he also did have 10 strikeouts and 1 walk in that start, so he looked good in that respect. Also, getting more ground balls than 5 balls this season. There's some potential for Eflin to perform moving forward. Godley, he's been brutal. He has an ERA of 8.16, solid ground ball rate, but low hard contact. But he walks a ton of guys. The Phillies can get some guys on base. They can definitely score some runs. The Sox have lost every single game that he's pitched this season as well. He allowed 8 earned runs on 10 hits to the Rays in his last start. He looked brutal in that start. His OBA is 3.54 on the season so far. So I think Eflin has a serious edge there. I also think that the Phillies have a better offense, even though they've really struggled a little bit with runners in scoring position. They do have the better offense. Of course, they have Harper, Realmuto in there, Gregorius. They do have a couple of great guys in that lineup that can definitely score runs, especially off of Godley, who looks like he's throwing meatballs throughout the entire season. So, yeah, I like Eflin here. I think the Phillies are the play. I'm not going to touch it, but if you're going to the Phillies on the money line, there's small juice on the Phillies money line. Why not take that?
No, I agree with you there. Look, checking in the chat box. Rob Cook says Phillies first 5 and Phillies team total. Philly Sports Passion says the battle of Zacks tonight. Danny says the Phillies Red Sox over 11. Rob Cook chiming in. Yes, the wind is blowing out up there at Fenway. And also, let's see what else we got in the chat box. Donnie Jason, nice day yesterday. Let's get some fresh moolah. So everybody checking in the chat box. But I got to say, I'm looking down here below, and there's 2 thumbs down. And the reason listed that we can see behind the scenes is they actually took the under yesterday in the Giants-Angels game and are not happy about it. So we do apologize. Maybe want to listen up a little bit better there. And Sabine also says, I love this show. By far the best gambling show. Great job, fellas. And somebody out there was saying, they said, me and you, Jason, are their favorite baseball nerds. So, hey, love it. All the comments all the way around. We could eat on there, but we'll continue to do the show, have some fun Monday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. Let's get to another game here. 9:25, 9:26, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Minnesota Twins. 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming with the hometown Minnesota Twins. Line opened up at 156. Not a lot of movement here. 157s, 160s, 155s across the board. The total of 9 that's listed. I'm going to go with what usually works for me here. I'm still not trusting the Milwaukee lineup all that much. I do think Burns, look, he's had a pretty good start to the season, but those bats from Minnesota should be able to wake up. I'm going to take a cheap number here, Jason, on the first 5. I'm going to go run line Minnesota Twins at -115. And obviously the run line in the first 5 innings is only half a run. So just give me the Twins up after 5 and I'll deal with the fallout, because the one thing I don't like is if this is a close game or maybe the Brewers have a lead late, Hader might be able to get those 2 innings in the 8th and the 9th inning to shut it down. Give me the first 5. Give me the run line on the Twins. I'll take that angle. What are you looking at here?
Wow, we're on the same page here. This is incredible. For the first time on the show, we have the exact same play here. I got the Twins -0.5, first 5 at -115. I even saw it drop down to -106, so I added a little bit of extra money in there in the -106. Yeah, for me, you got Kenta Maeda on the mound. He's looked impressive to start the season. He's a guy with low hard contact, gets a solid amount of ground balls, plenty of swinging strikes, also limits walks. He's looked really good, like I said, when 6 innings in his last 3 starts, allowed just 9 hits in 18.2 innings pitched. Or you can even go back a little bit and say 13 hits in 23.2 innings pitched. He has an OBA of .155 and a 0.000 ERA at home after one game, of course. On the other hand, you have Burns. He's got the high strikeout potential, also does give up hard contact and can walk plenty in his starts. So I'm banking on Burns walking a couple batters. That hard contact is pretty scary. The Twins have some power with runners on base. Why not watching Burns make a mistake and see the Twins hitting a homer over the wall? Definitely possible in this one. I think the Twins can capitalize on a couple of Burns mistakes as long as there's runners in scoring position too. It could be an early day for the Twins lineup to score some runs. So for me, yeah, I love this play. Also, Burns, he had an 8.82 ERA last season. Lefties hit him with a 398 average. I think regression is coming for Burns. He's been great, but I do think regression is coming. I don't think Burns is that great. Coming off of a 3.2 inning performance, allowed 2 runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So a little bit of everything in that start. As long as there's a little bit of runs, I think we'll be fine because Maeda has been really good.
No, I do agree with you there. Coy is more says, what's FIP and what's BIP? I'm going to assume FIP obviously is fielding independent pitching. That just means how you measure against an ERA of what the pitcher actually does if you take away the defense, how many balls leave the yard, how many strikeouts, hit by batters, walk, stuff like that. I'm going to assume the BIP means he wants to know what BAPIP is, which is batting average of balls in play. That means every time a player makes contact and the ball is in play, if it's a 193 average, if it's a 330 average, you're trying to look to see who's making contact and getting base hits. I assume there, Jason, what he's using. But also, it's a good point to bring up because people ask me all the time, like, because, 10 years ago, we were all saying, hey, man, look at the ERA, 223. The guy's pitching really well. But we like to look at the underlying metrics there and say, well, wait a second. If this guy's continually giving up 330-foot fly balls to left center field, eventually those balls are going to leave the yard. So, Jason, just talk a little bit about maybe some of those metrics here, just because some people aren't used to saying, like, hey, I know the guy's pitching well, look at his ERA, but some of these extended metrics can really help you out here.
Yeah, and I think we'll get onto this onto that ERA FIP a little bit later because the White Sox have a pitcher that has a really crazy ERA and FIP today, so we can get on with that a little bit later. But yeah, FIP, you're just looking at their home runs, their strikeouts, and their walks, something that the fielders don't really have any say in. So what the pitcher is doing, whatever the fielders can't do, is what the FIP is. So if a guy has the high FIP, that means he's walking a ton of batters. That means he's allowing a ton of home runs. And that means he's probably not striking out too many batters. It's just what the pitcher can do by himself without the fielders behind him. And the BIP is like for example, Kenta Maeda has a .180 BIP. It's the batting average of balls in play. So when balls are in play, the batting average is 180, which is really good. It likely means that Maeda is not allowing much hard contact, allowing soft contact, getting easy pop flies, fly balls, not too many line drives or whatnot. If a guy has a BIP of 400, they're allowing a ton of base hits, a lot of probably doubles and hard contact and all that good stuff with exit velocity as well. So when you're looking at BIP, you want a guy with a low BIP, usually means he's allowing soft contact. And like, for example, Maeda, he's a guy that allows low hard contact, and that's why his BIP is just 0.180. So guys are hitting the ball in play are hitting with just an average of 180, which is obviously really good if you're holding batters to a 180 average.
There we go. We try to educate as we move on and have some fun because a lot of people don't hear all these alphabets that we spit out and say, where the hell's that word? Where do we get to into Sierra and get all that good stuff going by the end of this season? So, yeah, you can use some of these to your advantage, but I always say don't confuse yourself. There's so many statistics out there. Take a look at the ones, do some damage with some of those, some that you understand, some that you don't, work them in once in a while, but you'll find a nice little selling on what makes sense for yourself because, again, like me, WOBA, the weighted on-base average, that's what I really like to look at, and there's expected weighted on-base average. So there's a lot of stuff out there that you can use. Read up on it. It might take some time, but it can save you some money, certainly make you some money over the years. Let's hit the speed burst here as if we're playing Madden. 905, 906, San Francisco, and the Angels. Cahill versus Bundy. 77% of the tickets here coming in on the Angels. And how about this? Minus 250s across the board and higher with a total of 9.5. And why not? Because with Cahill and that bullpen on the mound and 95 degrees in California, ball should be leaving the yard. Again, a little bit expensive here as a 5.5 on the Angels as a team total, but I might go back to the well on that. I see runs in this game, and Bundy's actually been really good. So the run should come from the Angels side. That's the way I'm going to lean. Over 5.5 on the Angels here, Jason.
Yeah, like Bundy right now, you can literally say that he's in contention for the AL Cy Young. That's how good he's been. Trevor Cahill has just pitched one game this season. A guy with high hard contact, also high Sierra, high walk rate, low strikeout rate. Angels, for me, I think the Angels are more of a parlay piece because they're so high at minus 250. And I don't know if I agree with Angels minus 1.5 because they're the home team. I like the Angels team total over. I think that hits, but if you want to play a little bit more safe, maybe put them as a parlay piece with maybe an NBA game that you like, or maybe you can look at another MLB game that I've talked about, or another big favorite. But I definitely think the Angels will win this game soundedly. The Angels minus 1.5 obviously would hit, but when there's a home team, I'm a little I try to stay away from that a little bit because you just don't know if they'll have 9 innings to get it done. And what if, the Giants go in there and score in the 8th inning and then just a 1-run game. So that's why I just like to play it safe. But I do think the Angels team total will hit. I also think the Angels will win this pretty soundly. So for sure, they're a parlay piece for me.
Yeah, how many times have you been in that run line position where you have like a 6-4 lead in the 9th inning and there's one out and they just let them steal second base, they let them take third base, a ground ball scores the run, but nobody cares except the guy who had the +1.5 or the guy who had the -1.5. Happens all the time to us gamblers here. 909, 910. We're going to go to Baltimore, Toronto, and the Orioles. Pearson versus the lefty LeBlanc, about a 50-50 ticket split, but a favorite here for the Toronto Blue Jays, -135 with a total of 10. Yesterday, great pitching performance by Ryu. Seems like he's bouncing back to form now with 3 good starts and slowing down those Oriole bats. But when I take a look today here, Jason, with LeBlanc on the mound, facing about 85 batters, a 5.6 xFIP. And then when I flip it over to the young flamethrower Pearson, he's got a 5.5+ xFIP as well. There should be some traffic on the bases today, smaller ballpark, nice weather. I'm going to take a flyer. 2 teams that might be able to get some base hits here. Give me 5 aside. I'll lean on the over 10. I would love it at 9.5, but it's not there. I'll lean on the over 10 in this spot here.
Yeah, I like that play as well. I'd be on the Blue Jays at -143 here. I think Pearson's probably the better pitcher than LeBlanc. Obviously, Pearson's been struggling. His last start was a real struggle. But I don't know if you guys saw the game yesterday. Had the under 4.5 in the first 5 in that game. I just want to talk about it quickly because in that 3rd inning, we had 3 ground balls, 3 infield hits, 1 run scores. Then it was a 3-run bomb for 4 runs in that game. So I'm talking about how both pitchers are going to get a ton of ground balls. It's going to be an easy under game. The guy gets 3 easy ground balls, slow ground balls, slow hoppers, can't get anything out of it. Then they have a 3-run homer, and I easily lost that first 5, and I should have won that one. So I'm very salty about that one, just to let you guys know. But, I think Pearson is a rookie that has shown some potential this season. Obviously got shelled in his last start. I do think he rebounds and pitches better. Of course, we have a small sample size from him in the MLB, but for Wade LeBlanc, we don't have a small sample size, and that guy has not been very good. Has a 7.13 ERA. He does limit walks pretty well, but he allowed 9 earned runs in his last 6.2 innings pitched against Miami and Philly, and had just 3 strikeouts in those 2 games with 4 walks. So I'd be on the Blue Jays and Nate Pearson in this one.
There you go. Got some news out. Look, got about maybe 5-6 minutes left in the show. If you guys watch yesterday, of course, the last part of the show is a very important part of the show, and that's bankers and best bets. We'll get to those in just a few moments. Let's hit just a couple more games before we get to those. 9:15, 9:16. The Mets and the Miami Marlins. Runs yesterday. Boy, did I enjoy that 2-run blast to get to the 5th run from Robbie Cano. You could have called me a Mets backer yesterday. Peterson's on the mound today versus Mejia. 7 out of 10 tickets here coming on the Mets. How about this one? Peterson, the lefty, is a -180 favorite and a 9.5 across the board. I like the Mets lineup that's being put out there. I think the Mets can reach their team total again in this one as long as a similar lineup gets put out, because I don't believe in the starting pitcher, even though he's a young kid, not a long track record in Major League Baseball, decent minor league pitcher, but it's more up to, I think the Mets will win this game. I don't think the Marlins will be in a position to close the game out, get 9 full at bats. I lean team total here for the Mets, but not a great play because I don't know all that much about Mejia so far.
Yeah, Mejia, he faced the Mets in his first outing this season. He's also a rookie with just 1 start, had 6 strikeouts and 2 walks versus the Mets, but he went just 2.1 innings pitched in that start. So you're banking on Peterson going a lot deeper than Mejia. Then the Mets got that bullpen, and the Marlins that obviously struggled last night. So, I agree with the ticket, the tickets being on the Mets at -180. It's a little high for a guy like David Peterson. Peterson's definitely the better pitcher. He's also pitched pretty well this season. compared to what they've gotten out of other starters this season. He's allowed just 1 earned run in 2 starts, 10 innings pitched. Has allowed 5 walks, struck out 6. I would say that he might be a little bit on the edge of a collapse and have a bad start. I don't know if it's going to be this game, but I can definitely sense it. It still has a 4.03 FIP. Does get a solid ground ball rate, but his walks could get a little bit higher. I think the strikeouts might decrease a little bit as well. This one's pretty tough, but I'd put my eggs in one basket on Peterson. I wouldn't look at Mejia.
My boy Aunt L is in here. I want Alonso to swing away 3-0. Well, hey, man, a couple solo blasts yesterday. Let's get it again. I love a team that has a nice mix. And yes, I am a Mets hater, but I'm a money lover. When I see spots that the Mets make sense, I will cheer on the Mets the same way I'm being an Eagles fan, and I cheer the Dallas Cowboys team totals to come in. It's just the way we do it here. You try to make money. Green is green, right there, Jason? That's what we like to preach here. Let's go over one more game before we cut the show and get to the most important part. Let's pick. Here's what I want to talk about. 919, 920. And it's not a matter of, are you going to take the Dodgers minus 235 or the Dodgers on the run line or the total for the game? At this point in the season, you look at the Dodgers lineup, and it almost does not matter, Jason, who they face. If they have a team total anywhere south of like 7, it just seems like money in the bank. It's like, yeah, they'll be right around that number each night. You just see the updates blink across. Solo home run from Betts to lead off. And oh my goodness, the Dodgers are down 2-0. In the blink of an eye, they're up 4-2 by 3 guys hitting solo blasts and a double in the gap. Is this one of those things where you just ride this freight train until it just goes off the rails? Because they seem to just be able to do whatever they want at the plate and get the pitching to back it up.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're going up against the Mariners, I mean, it's like a blind bet at this point because again, the Mariners don't have a great pitching staff. They don't have a great bullpen either. That's for damn sure. So yeah, the Dodgers over the team total would be the play for this game. Of course, Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers, he's been pretty good as of late. He does allow heavy hard contact. He has an okay ground ball rate. Will get strikeouts as well. He's looked pretty good so far this season. Hasn't allowed a single run. So I would easily look at the Dodgers here. We talked about how the Angels might be a parlay piece. Maybe you fit that with the Dodgers and call it a day with the 2-team parlay there. I'm not doing that, but definitely a recommendation that I think would absolutely hit, for all the parlay guys out there. So yeah, Dodgers over in the team total. If you want to do the Angels and Dodgers as a parlay, that could hit as well.
No, I completely agree with you there. I think it's a good matchup, and you got a team it doesn't matter. Like if they're down 4-1, 5-1, they can certainly come back. A 3-run home run seems like it's on deck for the next half inning for the Dodgers. Now it comes time to put some money in your pocket. I'm going to go for my 4th straight play of the day winner as a best bet banker. Now, this card wasn't as cut and dry as what I thought it was yesterday, but I still think there are some good spots to look at. I'm going to keep it in the desert. I'm going to hope maybe even later in the game we might get the roof open here. I'm going to go with the Oakland Athletics team total of over 5. There's no reason to believe that they can't chip away over the first 5 innings and get 2 to 3 runs and then go to town on that Arizona bullpen. The ball flies in that ballpark. This team's hot at the plate. I'm going to go Oakland Athletics team total over 5 as my banker of the day. Jason, what do we got on deck? Let's get some money here, brother.
Yeah, I'm on the Athletics too, and I hope that they score 5 runs because if they score 5 runs, I don't think Frankie Montes is going to be allowing anywhere near that. So for me, yeah, the banker is the A's at minus 145. So we're both on the A's. We both love that game. So again, the Athletics at minus 145 as my banker play. And I got one more play on the day. Like you said, it's a little bit harder today to find those plays, but I do like the Twins at minus 0.5. So Twins at minus 0.5 and the first 5 at minus 115. I even saw it at minus 106 now, so I put a little bit extra in there because I saw the line change, and I was just like, all right, I should put more money in there. So I like this play as well. You could say that both these are bankers for me. These are 2 plays that I'm really liking to go into the night with. So yeah, the Twins at minus 0.5, first 5 at minus 115, and the Athletics at minus 145. Double bankers for you guys.
Bang. Ray Kimbrell says best money-making show on the net without a doubt. And we have 69 likes, which is Rob Gronkowski approved in the chat box. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. The design is to make you a smarter handicapper and put some money back in your pocket. Also, if you haven't done so yet and you missed anything here with the show, hit the button down low, sbrpicks.com/MLB. You'll see the show replay. You'll see Jason's write-ups. You'll see a lot of good writers on there as well, a lot of good information in Major League Baseball. 66,000 500 people have clicked that subscribe button. If you haven't done so, what are you waiting for? Get that notification every time we go live here on the channels at sportsbookreview.com. You will get that update. For Jason Radowitz, I'm Donnie Seymour for sportsbookreview.com. This was your Major League Baseball show.